welcome. You're here with Unfiltered Trend. You're here with me, Seb Green, and
Elodie Boo
and
Gblajolie.
And we're here to talk about colonialism in the 21st. Well,
It is 21st century, unfortunately. Well, today this is kind of a very touchy subject. It's about what's going on in New Caledonia. New Caledonia is going through, some kind of revolution. It's a new age revolution. They want to stay away from France. France has been a colonial power out there, and they have been really taking advantage of them because they have tried to become independent for a while now.
What I'm hearing, what I'm seeing is that the French are trying to incorporate their leaders by getting into the voting sector of how they're basically getting the new leadership in. And what they're doing is they're allowing people that are basically immigrants, people that are not from the country or have come into the country within 10 years to be allowed to vote.
Yeah.
And the people that are from there are saying, no, that's not right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we're going to follow
Let's
this.
start playing before the video.
We're going to
So
start to see what First Post has to say.
Now let's turn our attention to New Caledonia. It's an island territory in the Pacific Ocean. Territory, not nation. Sadly, New Caledonia remains a colony to this day. It's a French overseas territory. But not all the people of New Caledonia are happy about this. Yesterday, violent protests broke out. Protests against France. Take a look. About 80 businesses were set ablaze in the capital, Nouméa. 200 cars were torched as well. Shots were fired and over 50 police officers were injured. France says the violence is unacceptable.
I have given very firm instructions to make arrests. 82 people have been arrested in the last 2 days. I have decided to send 4 additional mobile gendarmerie units. They are leaving for Nouméa this morning.
82 people have been arrested in New Caledonia. France is sending more troops to try and bring the situation under control, a situation that Paris itself has brought about. To understand what's happening, we need some context. New Caledonia is in the Pacific Ocean. It's about 19,000 kilometers away from France. France annexed the islands back in 1853, and it has held on to them ever since 1853. This is despite the decolonization that has taken place elsewhere in the world. These islands are valuable. New Caledonia is the world's 4th largest producer of nickel. It's a metal that is used in electric car batteries. It has become increasingly valuable over time. That's one reason why France wants to keep these islands. Another reason is the location. They are in the Pacific Ocean, a region that is becoming a battleground between China and the West. The fight is mostly between the US and China, but France does not want to be left behind. President Emmanuel Macron prides himself in being a global statesman. New Caledonia gives him a base in the Pacific. He can use it to influence the region. So minerals and strategic location. That is why France does not want to let go.
So as you can see, the situation doesn't stop. Since 1853, can you imagine? Still decolonized.
Yeah, they are under a force that they don't understand. I know for sure they were treated similar to apartheid till a long while. Because obviously the people of the soil and white people were living together but not really equal. The opportunities were not really given to the black people, and the black people were used like servants.
Yeah, that's the thing. And also one thing is it's most of the French islands territory or whatever. So basically as a local, you cannot find a job, obviously, because they bring the foreigners, their company, they employ the French people into it.
They bring their own government.
And then you don't have a job. So what you're going to do? You go in France. So then everyone leave. and then now the other people, the foreigners, they come and then more or less replace the local. So that's one thing too.
The reality is that people who are from the soil cannot afford to go just like that. So they will have to work for these people. That's the opportunity that they will see in front of their face. Or if I work for this French white man, I'm going to get some kind of salary and I can feed my family. That's the opportunity that they will see first.
Yeah, but also a lot of them go also maybe study in France or work in France, like people from Guadeloupe or Martinique. That's other, not French territory. That's not we are not like Caledonia, of course. They are more independent, but then we have the tendency to leave our island because of the job situation, the unemployment, and then we also have issue to come back, So because most of the people who have businesses also are the foreigners, French, any
the other Europeans and Chinese and the Indians.
So that's one thing also.
So that's the problem.
I think there's this is a smaller story to a bigger story. Now again, France is part of NATO as well, and I feel like this whole NATO and BRICS warfare, we're just on the cusp of it. They want to keep the territory to produce money and also look like a player compared to China, France, South Africa, Brazil, all of these other people. But the reality is, once BRICS is in full effect and the dollar is no longer the major trading currency, the West will be in more trouble.
That's true.
And basically, they need these countries. They need these territories for them to stay where they are, especially France, because France doesn't really export a lot, to my knowledge. Neither does the UK.
They don't have much. They don't have minerals like that.
Yeah.
Europe in general don't have minerals like that. Let's be honest.
They're losing us now. They start to listen us.
If you look at the UK, is there anything that is so valuable in the UK?
Yeah.
Germany, at least they have their own. Like they have their own intelligence and they work on their own intelligence to become valuable. But Spain,
in terms of natural
Portugal,
resources,
it's mostly countries like Africa they rely on, Caribbean they rely on, South America, Asia, and also Polynesian, I guess.
Yeah, no, but the thing is like even as a French Caribbean, we watch it also because what happened in New Caledonia can definitely happen if it's not already happened in other islands, French territory or whatever. So we watch it definitely.
I see and I understand why the New Caledonian people don't feel connected to France. They are so far away.
Yeah, 19
it's too far.
Yeah.
And they never wanted to be close anyway. They're very in tune with their own traditions.
Culture,
and their traditions has been there for over like 3,000 years, okay? So they would never feel like they need to settle with, I want to become a French. No, they don't care about France like that. So they're very proud people and I support that. I want them to keep going and keep fighting for themselves. Unfortunately, there's so few of them. And the few, it doesn't bring strength. They need partners. They need people who will help them. And I think...
Yeah, because they already like three reform. Like the first one, they try. The third one, I think it was during the COVID. So maybe that wasn't even the good time to do the reform, to do the thingy. So I think like with this violence thing going on right here, first need to rethink a little bit. And also what we understand, the guy who was talking in the ministry,
the
ministry is a French guy. He's not from territory. Can you imagine? He's not even anyone from Caledonia or whatever. He's still a French guy. French white guy.
These guys are desperate. They're desperate. You can't say, they're gonna let them go. This is, imagine you've been whipping someone to produce something for you that you need to live for so long. Now they're saying, no, we've had enough.
Yeah.
You're not going to say, I'm going to rethink it. No, you're going to send all your muscle, all your power to reclaim and retake that thing.
from what I know of France, they really relied on Ukraine a lot. I don't know if it's Ukraine or Russia or whoever. They really relied on their
for the gas.
I don't know what brings their energy, but it's definitely electricity wise. They really are struggling right now with bills. The bills are so expensive in France now because they don't have enough. And Niger was the backup. Niger now it wants to be completely free from France. It's an independent country, but yet it was kind of controlled. You can tell that France do play strategical games and place their own players or in the game. They put their pawns in the game, especially in Africa. We know we have one in my country. Okay, I'm not gonna point him out, but definitely is one of the pawns. So seriously, France is desperate, and I know they've been desperate for a long time now. Definitely, they don't have enough anything for themselves. They don't have minerals. They don't have nothing. I'm not gonna say they're not valuable, because somehow they are valuable because of their territories, and I think they should definitely rethink how they interact with the people from other countries. There's too much condescendence. They need to bring respect to the game. Sending all your army and everything over there would not make the people go for your government. The people will have more disdain for your government than ever.
Definitely, they always do that. Anytime
they did that in my country.
They did that in my country also. They always bring the police, gendarme, whatever, to try to cut down.
There's so many of them.
The game. So that's where you see how, I mean, the imperialist, that France has, toward those islands.
For me, France, you're showing more and more that you're a racist, that you think that you're better than us. And Macron, there was, I think, some kind I think a reunion with young people from Africa. It was like to build a bridge between Africa and France and change it, call it Africa France. But the reality is the young people told you that we don't like the way France behave with our territories. We don't like how you interact with us. There's too much disrespect, even against leaders. The leaders are not the best, yes, but there are leaders all around the world who do terrible. Like, if we look at the Asian leaders, not all of them are clean, but yet there's respect. If you look at South America leaders,
some corruption.
The respect is there. You need to change how you behave with Africa, because you kind of need us. We don't need you. That has to be said. And also with Polynesia, you need them. So change how you interact with these people. Maybe there might be something better as an outcome.
Yeah, definitely. I think they need to change it.
I don't think you do. I think carry on doing what you're doing so that they can get their own rebellion and be their own people. That's what I think needs to be like.
But it's been going on for a while, so maybe it's a time to
but there needs to be respect.
No, keep disrespecting them and hopefully they will.
But I feel like it's
because that's not how you do it. You in politics, I'm gonna put you on game. When it comes to politics, you need partners. If you have the right partners, like China is a great partner, Russia is a great partner.
France isn't gonna be their partner. France is gonna be their oppressor.
But that's what I'm saying. China, Russia are great partners when it comes to that, because they both trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
So those are the ones who provide, because
they're not okay. Firstly, they're not providing. They're not disrespecting Caledonia, and secondly, they can't get involved. Reason being is because if they get involved, this is gonna up the ante with the war between Brexit and NATO, which is already going on in Ukraine.
But I don't think what's his name, Vladimir Putin, cares. I don't think he cares at all.
No, I mean,
he doesn't care about making them feel bad, because in his mind, he feels, I don't know if there's an arrogance, he feels kind of strong. But what I will say is they're the only elite who will definitely provide the type of things you need. Because, by example, people like us in Ivory Coast, or maybe not Ivory Coast, I think Burkina Faso mentioned, like, even to fight against rebels or fight against terrorists, they were trying to go after terrorists properly and have the right weapons, and even the right weapons they can't get with France.
Guerrilla warfare.
Because France will block you from getting the real thing.
Okay.
So I know for sure these people don't have weapons. They're just fighting with what they got.
They're lighting cars on
And
fire.
that's why they're doing what they're doing.
They're lighting
It's a
cars on fire.
protest. It's a
Yeah.
protest.
And also
Only 5 people had died. So
They're going after companies. I think French companies.
Yeah, French companies, yeah, definitely. And also, I mean, how come you banned TikTok in New Caledonia in 2024?
That's an outrage.
Like, how come this is over?
It shows.
I can't believe it sometimes.
It
I'm
shows
like,
the
wow.
true face of France. I think we should not ignore who they are.
Because you don't ban it in your own country, France, but you have to go to ban it in an island which is located in the Pacific.
It's to control the narrative. Yeah. It's to control how they look on the news. It's to control how they will present the news.
And also the way they present the news, all you can see is people who complain or they're scared or whatever.
It's always the French who are complaining.
Yeah.
I think they should go out there and kind of speak to the
local, to the people, yeah.
And what's the problem? And why do you feel that way? But they will not do that now.
Yeah.
It's too easy.
Definitely. Anyway, let's check it out, the rest of the video, so we can see what.
But what do locals say? What about them? Don't they want independence? That is where things get complicated. New Caledonia's indigenous people are the Melanesian Kanaks. They were once the majority on the islands, but now they make up just 41% of the population, less than half. About 24% of the population here is of European descent, mostly French, and that's a sizable chunk. New Caledonia has held multiple independence referendums in 2018, in 2020, and then again in 2021. And look at what they got. In 2018, 43% of the people voted for independence, only 43%. In 2020, it went up to almost 47%. The next referendum was an anomaly. France insisted on conducting it in 2021 in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pro-independence parties in New Caledonia thought this was a trick, a scheme to ensure low voter turnout, so they boycotted the last referendum. The pro-France side won by a landslide in 2021 because their opponents boycotted. But that doesn't really mean that New Caledonians are all done asking for independence. In fact, their desire for freedom is what led to yesterday's riots. Voting rights have been frozen here since 1998, meaning no one who immigrated to the islands after 1998 can vote here. This means that even if more Europeans migrated to New Caledonia, the locals would not get outnumbered. This freeze helped reduce tensions, but now Paris wants to undo it. Lawmakers in France are debating an end to the freeze today. They're planning to enlarge New Caledonia's electorate, which means the locals may become a much smaller voting bloc overnight, which is why they're protesting. They do not want the voting freeze to thaw.
Our council has given the authorization. So here we are today to set up banners to say no to enlarging the electorate.
We hope that our voice, our dignity, and our pride of being the people of Kanaki will be heard by the General Assembly.
There are a number of examples of territories wanting to stay with their colonial overlords. The Netherlands has islands in the Caribbean. They've repeatedly voted to stay under the Dutch. Puerto Rico has repeatedly voted to stay a U.S. territory. Sometimes the colonies do want to remain with their colonizers, but it looked like New Caledonia was breaking out of that mindset, which is why the last referendum looks suspect. And why France's move to expand the electorate seems like a ploy, a scheme to keep their colony from getting freedom.
So obviously, I mean, France not going to leave now. They're going to try to keep the Caledonia, under their own. So with that vote situation thing, that would be crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they don't have a military power there, so they can't or any allies. So they're.
But can you imagine, you in your own country, born and raised, you cannot even, I don't know how to explain, but it's most of them, they are European, the 60% of the population. So it's like you outnumbered,
Yeah.
In your own island. So things like this can definitely happen in Guadeloupe or Martinique.
Yeah.
I swear God.
What I will say is the difference between the Caribbean and the New Caledonian Island is the fact that France is deeply rooted in the Caribbean, like deeply, you know what I mean? So even the culture is a little bit intertwined with France. But the Kanaks don't have that intertwined at all. They were colonized since 1853. So they had their complete, history before these people came. So they are not connected at all. Yeah. They're not connected whatsoever.
I think as well because the reason why the Caribbean is more connected with the French is because they were taken from Africa to the Caribbean,
of course.
And then from there, everything melded together. Whereas these guys just came to the island once they was already established.
They were already there. They were. That's their home. You cannot try to steal someone's home. You know what I mean? I feel it's absolutely disrespectful. What I will say as well is that, my goodness, when it comes to Caribbean island is because there's so many variances, so many cultures that are, let's say, Spanish, there's the Dutch, and they are very linked with the Spanish. They're very linked with the Dutch. So these people would never want to leave their, their colony.
Yeah, I think it's like mentality also. But I believe like the young generation, they think a bit differently. It just also, for example, in Guadeloupe, yes, of course, majority of the population are, us Black people, but then we have Lebanese people, now we have Chinese people. Yes. So obviously the numbers start changing. So when we start if we want to get the independent thing, you have to start with us, of course. And the thing is, what happened is, because what happened in Haiti, the fact that all those violence happened when Haiti has their own independence. So us, the other island, we see it like that, and we be like, oh, maybe we will be like 80. Some of us think like that. I'm not saying everyone, but it's like it's a lesson they give to 80. So then the other island, for them to don't want to have their independence and just be like thinking, okay, we are lucky, we are French, so we good, which is not the case. Of course.
Haiti has suffered a lot.
Yeah,
it has suffered a lot. But what I will say is, I've seen as well a lot of Caribbeans who are happily French. So happily Dutch, happily Spanish. So it's very different.
It depends. Maybe the one who is in France already, but me for sure, being born and raised in Guadeloupe, it's never been the case. We from Guadeloupe first, and then French on the paper. That's two different things for us. But the rest of us who are outside, or born and raised in Paris, maybe they think differently, of course.
The ones I met in Guyana were happily French because there's advantages to being French. Okay, they have the paper, they can travel anywhere, blah blah blah. They have seen, and they were talking down on other islands who didn't have papers. They were talking down on St. Lucian. They were talking about Haitian badly, Dominican Republic. They talk them badly. So I've seen how the behavior is. I can see it. They feel superior, kind of, because a lot of people come to their side to get the paper. Even Brazilian come on the other side to get the French paper as well. So
yeah, no, of course, definitely.
I've seen there's a privilege. There's a privilege.
This is just
better. I'm better. I've seen that attitude a lot.
I think it's just a way to divide us even more.
Yes, mentality.
So it's just a mentality thing. You think you have the French paper, so you can travel anywhere, and then the others, obviously, they don't have, and they want to go in your island and get the paper also to have a better life for themselves. So that's just a way to be against each other again that they use. Being used since the colonization.
That's very true. Me, I always been in awe of Brazilian people. So, oh my gosh, they're beautiful. Oh, Dominican people, they're so cool. No, they're like this. Those people are like that. I was like, yo, I didn't like the attitude. There wasn't a good attitude.
I always say it's a way just to divide each other, So they use it, and then us, we just playing the game. So it's like the light skin, dark skin thingy also is the same thing. But if we're gonna come back to Caledonia, I think then they just want to go, and that's the population. They don't want to hear about no colonization, no depending. They're already like a French territory, so it means they have more how will I say, it's not like Guadeloupe where everything depends on France. Them, they are a little bit large in terms of political skills or whatever. So them, they want to go. So this is different. But us, we're just in the process of even thinking.
I think when it comes to, they depend on France. I know they depend on France. I know
but
for sure. I
in
know
terms
for sure.
of political thing,
Yeah,
they have more.
Don't forget it's the Eurozone. They have the Euro.
Yeah.
So they're so involved with France. Don't forget that I'm sure there's French product in the country.
Yeah, definitely French company like
French companies.
Yeah.
It's deep, man. Like the military, they don't have military.
For sure.
They are kind of stuck with France at the moment, and it's gonna be for
yeah, because this process of decolonization been for like over 30 years, if it's more.